So there I am, standing in the middle of a grocery store parking lot at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, jumping up and down like I just won the Super Bowl, screaming, "I'm rich! I'm finally rich!" And this sweet old lady walking by looks at me like I just escaped from a zoo. And here's the thing, I wasn't rich, not even close. What I was holding wasn't a winning lottery ticket, it was a parking citation for $10,000. Yeah. Let me explain how I became the biggest clown in a 5-mile radius. Okay, so this whole disaster starts 3 days earlier. I'm at work, right? And my coworker, Derek, shout out to Derek, the human embodiment of bad advice, he comes up to me during lunch and goes, "Yo, Barry, you gotta start playing the lottery, man. My cousin's friend's neighbor won like 50 grand last month." And I'm sitting there eating my sad little sandwich thinking, you know what, that sounds made up. But also, what if it's not? So I'm like, Derek, I don't even know how the lottery works. And this dude, this absolute legend of misinformation, he goes, "Bro, it's easy. You just buy a ticket and if the numbers match, boom, you're set for life." Now, I should mention, I've never played the lottery before, ever. My financial strategy up until this point has been hope for the best and panic about rent. But Derek's got me thinking, what if this is my moment? What if I'm one ticket away from quitting my job and buying like, I don't know, a really nice blender or something? So that day after work, I stop at a gas station, I walk in, and there's this whole wall of scratch-off tickets and lottery forms, and I'm standing there like I just walked into a NASA control room. I have no idea what I'm doing. There's like 40 different games, Mega Millions, Powerball, something called Cash Explosion Bonanza. I'm overwhelmed. The guy behind the counter looks at me and goes, "You need help?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, which one makes me rich?" And he just laughs and hands me a random scratch-off ticket. $5. I pay for it, walk out feeling like a Wall Street investor, and I don't even scratch it off yet because I want to build the suspense. Yeah, I'm an idiot. So fast forward 2 days, I'm parked outside the grocery store, and I finally decide, you know what? Today's the day. Today, I'm going to scratch this ticket and change my life. I pull it out of my wallet, which, by the way, I've been carrying around like it's the Declaration of Independence, and I start scratching. I'm using a penny, very official, very professional. And then I see it. 3 symbols in a row. 3 matching symbols. And underneath it says, winner, $10,000. I freeze. Like full body freeze. My brain just blue screens. I look at the ticket. I look at the store. I look back at the ticket, and then I lose my mind. I'm talking full celebration mode. I'm fist pumping, I'm yelling, I call my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I won $10,000. I'm taking you to Olive Garden, the fancy Olive Garden. And she's like, Barry, what are you talking about? And I'm like, the lottery, Ma, your boy's a winner. She goes, oh, honey, that's wonderful, but make sure you read the... And I hang up. I hang up on my own mother because I'm too excited to listen to her finish her sentence. Big mistake. Huge. So I'm still in the parking lot, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I got to stay calm. I got to be smart about this. First thing I'm going to do is Google what to do when you win the lottery. So I'm sitting there Googling like a responsible adult, and every article is like, don't tell anyone, hire a lawyer, invest wisely. And I'm reading this like, wow, I'm so mature. I'm so financially savvy right now. Meanwhile, I've already told 6 people in the last 4 minutes. Then I get this bright idea. I'm like, you know what? I should go inside the store and ask them how to claim my prize. They probably have a whole process for this. So I grab my ticket, my precious, life-changing ticket, and I'm marching to the grocery store like I'm about to accept an award. I walk up to the customer service desk, and there's this teenage kid working there who looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. I slide the ticket across the counter, all smooth-like, and I go, hey man, I think I just won $10,000. What do I do? He picks up the ticket, squints at it, flips it over, and then he looks at me with the most confused expression I've ever seen and goes, dude, this isn't a lottery ticket. I'm like, what? Yes, it is. Look, 3 symbols, $10,000, winner. It's right there. He goes, "No, bro, this is a parking citation." And I swear, time just stops. I'm like, "I'm sorry? What?" He points at the ticket and goes, "Yeah, see? It says right here, notice of violation, amount due $10,000. I snatch the ticket back and I'm staring at it like it just personally betrayed me. And sure enough, in tiny little letters at the top, it says, "Parking enforcement notice." Turns out, 3 days ago, when I parked in what I thought was a normal parking spot, I actually parked in a fire lane. Not just any fire lane, apparently a super important fire lane near a hydrant or something. And because I left my car there for like 6 hours while I was at work, yeah, I never moved it, they slapped me with a $10,000 fine. $10,000! I'm standing there and this kid is just staring at me like I'm the dumbest person he's ever encountered. Which, to be fair, in that moment, I was. I go, but there were symbols, matching symbols. And he's like, "Dude, that's just the violation code." I want to crawl into the freezer section and live with the frozen peas. But wait, it gets worse. Because while I'm having this full-blown existential crisis at the customer service desk, I hear someone behind me go, "Barry?" I turn around. It's Derek. My coworker Derek, the guy who told me to play the lottery in the first place. And he's standing there with his cart, and he goes, "Yo, did you win?" I look at him, I look at the citation in my hand, and I just go, "Derek, I need you to never give me advice again." He's like, "Wait, what happened?" And I'm like, "I celebrated a parking ticket, Derek. I called my mom. I Googled financial advisors. I was planning my future." And this dude, this absolute menace, he starts laughing. Not like a little chuckle, full on, doubled over, tears streaming down his face laughing. People are staring. I'm dying inside. So obviously I'm devastated. I leave the store, get in my car, and I'm just sitting there staring at this stupid citation, trying to figure out how I'm going to pay $10,000 when I can barely afford my phone bill. And then I noticed something. There's a phone number at the bottom. For questions or disputes, call this number. I'm like, you know what? What do I have to lose? So I call. A lady answers, and I explain the whole situation. I'm like, "Hi, yes, I received the citation, and I think there's been a mistake because the amount says $10,000, and that seems, insane?" She puts me on hold. I'm on hold for like 15 minutes. I'm listening to the worst elevator music of my life. I'm contemplating my existence. Finally, she comes back and goes, "Okay, sir, I pulled up your file. It looks like there was a clerical error. The fine should have been $100, not $10,000. I'm sorry, what? She goes, "Yeah, someone accidentally added 2 extra zeros. We'll send you a corrected notice. You owe $100. $100? I went from thinking I was rich to thinking I was bankrupt to finding out I just owe $100. The emotional whiplash almost took me out. But here's the kicker. When I got the corrected notice in the mail 2 days later, guess what was printed on the envelope? 3 matching symbols. Just the design on the return address, and I laughed so hard I cried. So yeah, that's the story of how I thought I won the lottery, celebrated in a parking lot like a maniac, got roasted by a teenager, and learned that I really need to start reading things before I react. Also, I paid the $100 fine, drove to the payment center, handed them a check, and the lady processing it looked at my account and went, "Oh, you're the guy." Apparently, I'm a legend at the parking enforcement office now. Great. Lessons learned. 1. Always read the fine print. 2. Never take financial advice from Derek. And 3. If something seems too good to be true, it's probably a parking ticket. If you enjoyed watching me emotionally spiral over a piece of paper, hit that subscribe button, because trust me, this is not the dumbest thing I've done, not even close. I'm Barry, this is Barry Blunders, and I'll catch you in the next disaster. Peace.